Tell me the truth, the real truth about owning and operating a bakery.
The real
The
truth.
real truth.
Ruben, I didn't know, I had never baked a day in my life before I opened that bakery.
What do you mean? Like, this wasn't, tell me more. This is interesting.
So I went in there and she had all of this stuff, like the ovens and the cases, and it was like bakery in a box. And I was like, oh my God, I need all this stuff. And so she's like, she was selling it for like $19,000, everything.
So this is like super cheap.
Right, that's super cheap. I only had $11,000.
Oh.
So I said, girl, I will give you a check right now for $11,000. It's all the money that I have. And I will move all this stuff out of here today from you.
Wow.
And she's like, and she thought about it and she just like looked at me and she's like, deal.
Did you have this business savvy of like, all right?
No, all I knew was what my father taught me. And he was like, if somebody's buying something from you, you sell it. And it doesn't matter if you sell out, you just sell it. And he said, you know, you always treat your customers right, treat them good, and treat your employees right. And that's how it felt. It felt like I jumped and everybody helped me build on that. Ruben, I don't know. Like I felt like, and I've given this analogy a million times, that I felt like I was on a train, but I'm not the chauffeur. When I signed my lease, I remember laying in my bed with my 6-year-old baby, crying my eyes out because I was gonna sign this long lease and I would never see him again. Like that's how I felt. Yeah, it's not, yeah. I mean, I didn't see the risk.
Amazing. So do you think really, truly anybody can do this? Or are you just like built this way? Oh, tell me the truth, the real truth about owning and operating a bakery.
The real truth.
The real truth. If somebody came to you that you cared about and was like, I want to start a bakery, what would you tell them?
You better love to bake. Because it's a lot of work and it's really hard. And to get to the point where you are actually happy because you're making enough money for for the hard work that you're doing, you better love to do it, because it's going to be a minute before you get to that point.
Is it just that challenging?
It's just like, it's not hard. Like it's not hard, but it's hard. I don't know how to explain it. It's really heavy work on your body. It's really hard, you know, long hours to get things done and to get things done properly. And, you know, especially if you start the way that I started.
How did you start?
Is not
out of the kitchen?
No. Ruben, I didn't know. I had never baked a day in my life before I opened that bakery.
What do you mean? Like, this wasn't, tell me more. This is interesting.
Okay. So I have a degree in fashion design and I have a degree in marketing. And I wanted to be a fashion designer, and that was my life dream. And so I started doing that. I started actually making like costumes for people. Like I would do wedding dresses for like alternative type brides. And I loved it. I loved doing that. But I didn't have any kids. It was just Robert and I. And it was so much fun. I was doing fashion shows at the local clubs and running around, just having a great time. Yeah. And so then I got pregnant with Jack, and I just couldn't do that type of life anymore. And so I was blessed that Robert had a job where I could stay home with my babies. And I wanted to stay home with them until they started school.
Why was that important to you?
It was my mother did that for us. And for me, it was like, I want to raise my babies. I had them. I want to be with them. It was important for me, and for me to know that they knew that their mama always had their back. Like they always had that rock to come home. They always knew
Mom was there.
Mom was there always. And when I started my business, they started school, and I was like climbing the walls by then because entrepreneurship's in my blood. My father came here and he started his own business, an auto body shop, which was on 41st and Jason over by Chubby's in the north side. I grew up.
Okay.
I grew up in Northwest Denver.
Yep.
It's the north side.
Yeah.
And right by the Quig Newton projects. And so, it was rough neighborhoods back then. But my dad opened his shop, and he was one of the only Spanish-speaking shops at the time. And I helped him. Like, I was in there. And I have 2 older brothers. I have 1 younger brother. And the boys didn't want to be in there, but I was in there with my dad.
So you're like changing oil and
no.
Okay.
I was like, I started out like helping him at the front office, like at in the shop,
okay.
like in the office, answering the phones and everything. And then he was doing the estimates and everything, but back then he was doing it on paper. And then I started to get to know the business a little bit more, and just kind of asking a bunch of questions. Is that just me?
Just curious
about like, how do you run this, and how do you get the insurance companies to send you cars? And I would find out, and I'm like, oh, so then I found out I needed to go and get this computer software program set up in my shop. And, then the insurance companies would come and inspect the shop, and then they would decide if they would choose you as one of their preferred shops. Right.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like, and I'm 18 years old, like trying to do this, like, and my dad, he doesn't speak English. I mean, he speaks enough,
right?
But, he doesn't know about that kind of stuff. He just knows he's going to fix these cars. And
he doesn't know everything else behind that.
And they pay me this, and I pay my employees. Like, okay. So then I got all involved in that, and I brought it all in. And then our first one was State Farm, and then, Allstate, then Progressive. And so we had all these insurance companies, and within a year, we had so much business that my dad didn't even know what to do with himself. Wow. So he's like, Mijita, what did you do?
You blew it up.
I was like, Dad, this is what we needed to, and so, then he was able to pay, get more employees in, and it was great. And he made a ton of money. And for me, like doing that, it was for my family. So for me, like the entrepreneurship is in my blood that way, where I have to do it for my family. Like I can't work this hard and want to make the business blow up for anyone but them.
Was it hard working with family? Did your brothers eventually get into it?
Well, when they were younger, they were in there as like body men, and like they would do a lot of the Bondo work, and they would do a lot of work in there, but they never really showed interest. I mean, they did their own thing. I mean, my brother was the chief of the fire department in Castle Rock. The other one was like really high up there in the military, and doing a lot of Homeland Security type stuff. And then my other brothers, involved in, they're all crime fighters. My sister was a social worker.
Wow. Wow.
And I was the only one that chose this path, same as my father. And so, anyway, like I busted my butt, but it was for my family. It was for my mom and dad. And, at the time I was living there, I hadn't met Robert. Oh, I think I barely just started dating him when I met him when I was 18.
Okay.
So
then the distraction came.
Came. And, so then, he was like, okay, you stay with me. And, then I was still going to school and then working with him. And he said, you stay with me and help me run this place until I retire. And then whatever it is that you want to do, I'll help you do it.
Wow.
Deal.
Wow. So you had a good relationship with your dad.
Oh, yeah.
It was never
no
hard to work with him.
Never.
He just, okay.
Never.
Wow.
I defended him like no one could even look at him crooked with me in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had his strengths and then I had mine, and they worked out so perfectly in the shop together. And we got really, really close, and he was just like my best friend. So I lost him about 10 years ago. Yeah.
Oh.
And that was rough, but he still lives, like with everything I know to do and everything, the way that I teach my boys, like everything, he's still with me.
Wow.
So
you went from cars to what?
So then I went from cars. So then I had my babies and I was doing the fashion design and doing all of that around the same time. Then I had my babies and then went to school. And I don't know if I manifested this bakery or what I'm doing because...
Did you drive by a bakery and you're like, that'd be cool to do?
No, what happened was the Ace of Cakes was on TV.
Oh,
and
yes. I remember that show.
He was making these crazy cakes, right? And I was like, I need to do something creative because, I'm just a creative person. I like designing and everything. And I said, I have to do something creative and I have to make money doing it. I have to have a job where I can be with my kids and also have this job, this position, like whatever it is that I do, I'm not giving up my time with my kids.
Had to be flexible.
Had to be very flexible. And so then Ruben, I don't know. Like I felt like, and I've given this analogy a million times that I felt like I was on a train, but I'm not the chauffeur.
Oh, like somebody else is driving?
Like, somebody else is driving, and this is where I...
Like a spiritual experience?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. Because, like, I was like, okay, it's going to be a bakery. Like, I think I can make those cakes that guy does on TV. I think I can make them. And then I went on his website, and he was charging like $500 for these cakes.
Mind you, this isn't, you don't like bake cakes like for family events or...
No, I made some
nobody's
cookies.
Like, hey, can you make a wedding cake for me?
I made some cookies one time. They were horrible.
Okay.
Bad.
Bad. Hockey pucks.
Well, the ones were hockey pucks, and then the other ones were, I didn't know that you were not supposed to grind up the lemon, like to get the zest off. You're not supposed to keep going or it makes them bitter.
Oh, a little too much. Okay.
Yeah, they were bad. And so...
So you're a horrible baker, and then you're like, let's start a bakery.
Yeah, I mean, I can make cakes from I can make cakes from like a box or whatever. And I remember as a kid, my mom took these like little cake decorating classes at Emily Griffith, and she'd make these really cute little cakes. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was never
like that's not a career path or anything like that.
It just needed to be something creative, and I was digging around for it where I can make some money. This guy was on TV making these cakes, charging $500. I can do that.
Done.
So I'm like, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna open a bakery, and I remember my cousin saying, do you bake? Like, do you make cakes? And I was like, no, but I'm gonna learn. And he was like,
where is this?
What?
Like, you're crazy.
He's like, I know. I remember he said, I know a little karate, but you don't see me opening a dojo. You're crazy. And you have these two little kids, and I'm like, and it was 2008.
Oh, so like
the middle of the recession.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So did you tell Rob?
Okay. Okay. So then I went looking around. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna open this bakery. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And my thing that I was always saying, how hard can it be, right?
Yeah.
And Robert would be like, do you not see the obstacles of like things? And I was like, my father came here to this country when he was 14 years old. He started a business on a second grade education without speaking the language.
You're like, if he could do it.
Very successful. I said, there is no excuse for me.
It's a big, yeah. Wow.
And so I don't see the obstacles.
You don't see the other side. Like, you don't see failure.
It wasn't an
opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I can do this. He's doing it. I can do it. And so anyway, so I went and I was looking for a location where I could open a bakery.
So you're like going all in. You're not like, I'm going to run this out of my kitchen for a little while. And then, as it evolves and I'm making money, then I'll get some space.
No.
You're like, I'm going for it.
No, this was December 2007 and I was open in May 2008.
6 months and you're in business, like with a location and everything. So how did you pick the name? Well,
when I was a kid, I wanted to be a mermaid when I grew up.
Okay.
And my dad was like, Mijita, remember? And you were like this, and you quería ser una sirena, pobrecita. Like he'd be like, poor thing. And I was like,
something's wrong with her, but we love her anyway.
Okay. I was dead serious about it too. And I would go to the library and look up, like find books about mermaids so that I could become one. Like it was very serious.
What was that movie? That old movie in like the 80s?
Splash.
Yeah.
And that's what did it. That's what
was
did
that
it.
inspiration for you?
That's what did it.
Okay.
So So then my dad said, you know, that like you wanted to be a mermaid when you grew up, like you were always trying to, and I was like, that's what we'll call it. And
wow.
And I was going to call it, because initially I started the bakery with one of our cousins, but she went off she was with me for a little bit, and then she went off to start her teaching degree.
Oh, okay.
Because she had a degree in that. But we were going to call it Two Mermaids, but it sounded like tumor maids, like tumor.
Yeah, tumor maids. Like, I don't have cancer.
No, that's terrible. Terrible name. That sounds horrible for a bakery. So then we just settled on Mermaids Bakery, and I just figured, you know, I also liked it because I remember seeing the Starbucks logo had a mermaid on it. Oh, yeah. And they're very famous, and they're very... Yeah.
Like it didn't have to be bakery related or tie into...
I wanted a name that people could remember and that people could, you know, think of something like fun and enchanting and pretty, and like they would remember it. And I think it's been that for me.
It does encompass that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Did you make the logo?
I did. I made the logo. He was so busy and he was working so hard.
I would have bet money that Rob did the logo.
Robert is such an incredibly talented artist, and he's amazing at branding, but he was so busy at the time. In order for me to have this bakery and to start this, he needed to work.
Just put his head down and work.
So much to be able to support us so that I could do this. I wouldn't have been able to do it if he hadn't done that.
So did you not make money right away?
No. I don't know. And not too many businesses do. So when I started, so then I was driving around looking for a location. And then this man, the commercial real estate agent that I contacted, he said, hey, I don't know if you want to be in this space, but this girl, she's selling all of her equipment. She has a bakery and she's selling all of her equipment. You might want to go see what she's got. So I went over there, and it was on Tennyson. And she's like, I'm not doing great. I'm done. You know, it's too hard. And it was the recession, so it was difficult.
Yeah, nobody's starting businesses at this time.
Nobody's starting businesses except for Crazy Town over here. And so I went in there, and she had all of this stuff, like the ovens and the cases, and it was like bakery in a box. And I was like, oh my God, I need all of this stuff. And so she's like, she was selling it for like $19,000, everything.
So this is like super cheap.
Right. That's super cheap. I only had $11,000.
Oh.
So I said, girl, I will give you a check right now for $11,000. It's all the money that I have. And I will move all this stuff out of here today from you.
Wow.
And she's like, and she thought about it, and she just like looked at me, and she's like, deal.
Wow.
And I wrote her a check on the spot, and I came home to Robert, and I was like, hey, so I bought a commercial kitchen.
You're like, how's your day? How's your day? And by the way,
they're on their way now with the commercial kitchen. We got to make some room in the garage. So he was
not only that, but you got to work.
Not only that, but you got to help me figure. And so he's like, what? What do you mean? I said, yeah. And not only that, I used all of our money. All of it. Wow. And so, yeah.
So is this, are you like a saver? Are you
I'm a saver. I'm really good.
So this is a big deal for you.
It's a big deal.
It's a mental shift, like high risk, which is not your personality probably.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the risk.
Amazing.
There's not a risk that this is going to succeed. Like, I didn't see any of that.
Like, this is just the next step that I got to take.
This is just what I got to do, because I'm going to make money doing this. It's going to be fine. And like I told you, I'm on a train.
Right. You're not driving it.
Okay. So now I have a commercial kitchen, and now I have to find a location. And so I'm driving around, and my niece is in the car with me, and she's tiny. She's like 6 years old. She's like, hey, Tia, you should open your bakery in those big doors right there. And I was like, I don't think that's available. There's no sign or anything. I was like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can afford downtown like that. And so then, we looked around at some other places, and I was like, God, I can't afford any of this. It was crazy. And we wanted to be downtown. I wanted to be downtown because
specifically
I wanted to target the corporations, like the people who can buy these cakes from me and not have to worry about how much they cost.
Okay.
You know, and like we're close enough to Cherry Creek where all these people are. And I just wanted to be able to sell these cakes like somebody, and all these people are around me downtown, right? And walking traffic on the 16th Street Mall. Like I wanted to be near there. and remember the 16th Street Mall was different than it is
It
now.
was, yes. Yeah. A lot of traffic.
It was a lot of people down there. And so I was like, no, I can't afford that. And so we went to all these different places. And then probably a week later, I looked up on Craigslist, and it was those 2 doors that my niece had seen. And the rent was super cheap at the time because it was a recession. Nobody was renting anything. And I think I paid like $18 a square foot. And at the time in 2008. And so I met with the owners of the building, and they were the sweetest couple. They were more concerned about who was going to watch my babies so I can work. Oh. And she's like, don't worry. Are you sure? Like, I'm like, yeah. And I brought him some coconut macaroons that I baked, that I learned how to make.
Yeah.
And tested them and made those in my kitchen. And I brought her some so she could try. And I tested them in my new oven, which, by the way, the first time I burned everything. Because I didn't know how to use that thing.
Brand new equipment, you're burning everything.
It was a commercial convection oven.
Yeah, different.
Ruben, it was seriously, I burned everything on the outside. It was still raw on the inside. Like, I was like, why is this happening? Everything was falling in because of the altitude. Like, I didn't know any of it.
There was no YouTube back then.
There was YouTube, because that's where I learned how to stack a wedding cake.
Oh, okay.
On YouTube. And so, then I called the guy, the real estate agent, and he was like, yeah, come and take a look at it. It used to be a deli. So there's kitchen stuff in it already. It's 625 square feet, and, come and check it out. So I went and took a look, and I was like, hey, this is great. Like, we just need to scrape it down and paint the walls, and it should be fine. And Ruben, I bought all the equipment out of a spot that was 600 square feet. And this place was 600 square feet, and it was right downtown, a block from the 16th Street Mall. And even the plugs from the ovens were the exact...
Like, the odds of that is like, it doesn't happen. Gosh, it's like divine intervention.
I'm telling you, it's weird.
Wow.
So then we went in and we cleaned up, we fixed the floors, we cleaned it all up, and, made some signage for the outside, had a neon sign made. And
you're burning things left and right. And
burning everything. And so then once we got in there, I was like, okay, I'm going to start testing stuff. Like, we're going to start figuring out how to use this stuff. And that took a while. And so my chocolate cake recipe was a recipe that was my great aunt's recipe for her. She was a cake maker in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So that's where that came from. And then so I adapted the vanilla recipe from that one. But when I first baked it, it sank and it was bad. So then I had to do a bunch of reading and figure out what I got to do to these recipes to make them work in this altitude.
What is the key?
Oh, you have to add an extra flour and and make sure you're not over mixing. And it's it's a lot of little things that
it's a science.
It's extra leavening. It very much is. And so I figured it out. I mean, I went through a lot of stuff. Like a lot of throwing away a lot of cakes and a lot of ingredients.
Just going through material,
until I figured it out. Mm-hmm. And so, but I had this, I had to open because now I'm already paying rent, right?
Okay.
So she allowed, my landlord allowed me 3 months to just get moved in and do everything and figure it out. And I was hell-bent on making sure that I was going to be open by the end of those 3 months so I could start making money. And so then I figured it out. And so we were ready to open, and we opened in May, and I made everything. At the time we were selling breakfast burritos because they were building the Spire building.
Oh,
it was just barely being built when I opened.
You're cakes and burritos.
Yeah.
Okay.
How? Yeah. So I'm I had breakfast burritos in the morning. And then at lunchtime, I would make these Italian, green chili, cannoli type things with in the oven. Anything I can make in the oven that I could just make in there to pay the damn rent, because
you flip the sign in the afternoon and it's in the morning it's burritos. Flip the sign. Yep.
And it was so great because the construction workers from the Spire would come and they'd buy me out every day.
Wow.
So they'd buy all the breakfast burritos, and then they'd come at lunch because I was making this stuff homemade. So they were happy to come in and whatever it is that I had made. And so then I also had the cookies and the cupcakes and, all that stuff. So then I did that, and then slowly the cakes and the cupcakes started gaining traction. And I will tell you that the first day I was open, I thought I had enough stuff, but I sold out by noon.
Wow.
And then the next day I made like more. We made more. Like my cousin was with me at the time, and we made more and sold out. Like, and that week sold out. Like it just kept,
wow.
Like, and so I had to put signs up, and then I was so embarrassed because I didn't have, people were coming, so many people.
Out. Yeah.
And it was done. So we had to put sold out sign on the door. And I was like scrambling. I didn't know how,
Well, how do you handle that?
Yeah. What do I do now?
Because then it's like, do you order more? Is this really going to continue? Right. Or is it just kind of
So then the tears started because I was in there from 5 a.m. until like 9 o'clock at night.
Yikes.
Because I had to have enough stuff to sell. And then I started taking cake orders, and those had to be nice. Like they had to be professionally made. So I had to do that. And so I took a couple of cake decorating classes because I didn't know how to smooth the frosting or stack them up with fondant or cover them in fondant. So I took a couple of cake decorating classes to just teach me how to cover the cake and fondant, and I'll be fine. Like that's all I need. Everything else I can.
Piece. Yeah,
I can make little characters. I can make everything else. Right. How do you cover it? Like how do you do that? And so then I also figured out my own way to do it, like my own little way to do it by rolling it out so it wouldn't dry out, like different little things that I figured out on my own out of necessity. And so then I did that for a year, and then like my cousin left because she was going to pursue her. It was just too much. It was just too hard, and we were away from our kids. Our kids were little. She had a kid too. And Rob's was with these babies trying to do his work and then come home and be with them so I could be at the bakery.
So stress is just getting up there.
I would just be in there at 5 a.m. washing dishes because I would use every dish in the place until 9 o'clock at night, but I was so damn tired. And in the morning I would come in and I'd start cooking the eggs for the breakfast burritos.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I washed a mountain of dishes at 5 a.m. and got everything ready for the next day and just started. And it was just a lot. But I was like, there is no way I'm quitting. There is no way.
Is there ever a time where you're like doubt set in?
A lot.
And what pushed you through that?
My dad.
Really?
Like just thinking of my dad, thinking of all the time that I missed away from my kids, all the time that I missed away from my husband. And
you invested too much.
It was too much. It was more than money.
No.
It was more than money. Like nobody can give me that time back. And there's no way that I lost that in vain. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I continued just the struggle. And then like at a year mark, I had a girl call me from the Johnson and Wales.
Oh, this cooking school. Yeah.
And she was like, hey, are you hiring? And I was like, girl, I don't have any money. Like, I don't have any money to pay you. Because the business was sustaining itself. I didn't have to put any of my personal money into it. So that was great. Like that was a win.
Right. Huge win.
Huge win.
Sure.
That the business was self-sustaining, but I wasn't getting paid. No, nobody was making any money. And so then Darcy called, and her name was Darcy. She was my first intern. And she said, are you hiring? I said, I don't have any money. She's like, oh, you don't have to pay me. I was like, what? And she said, you're on my school's list. I need an internship. So I need to put in 3 months, 40 hours a week to be in a bakery and for free. Like,
and she just calls you out of the blue.
She called me out of the blue. And so I was like, okay, well, come. Like, I need help. Like, and at that point when she called, I was on my knees. Like, I was praying. I was like, I can't
do this by myself. I need some help. I can't do it.
And, I had a friend of mine who would come in on her lunch break. She worked at one of the buildings downtown and help me wash dishes on her lunch break. And
oh my gosh.
Like, my cousin would come, and my cousin, Monica, would come, and she'd be like, let me make some little whatever for you and help you, whatever. Like, I had people coming and trying to help me, just
like the entire village was helping.
Yeah. And that's how it felt. It felt like I jumped and everybody helped me build a net on the way down.
Wow.
Like, that's what it felt like. So then at a year, Darcy showed up, and this girl was a tornado. Like, she came in and she was like frosting cupcakes and making cakes and frosting cakes.
Because
and
she's
like,
probably trained
she knew how to do it. She was trained to do it.
Oh.
And so I had never had that type of training, and I learned so much from her, and she learned things from me that I learned out of pure necessity. She's like, oh my God, like they learned how to frost cakes with like these fancy spatulas. And I'm like, you take this cake scraper and watch how fast it like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so there was none of that on the internet yet, like type of training. Like now it's all over.
Right.
But back then it was like, this thing's much easier. Let's scrape these cakes with this. And she's like, oh yeah. Like, and then after Darcy, I was like, all right, how many interns can I have?
Right. Like you're going to the school and being like, hey, how many can you send over?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I couldn't afford to pay anyone.
Right.
And so then the next group of interns, like I think I had 3 after that. And then I had 2 and like every 3 months. And it was hard because I had to retrain them.
That's true.
And so every time. But then finally I was able, like I think maybe by year 3 was when, I don't know what happened, but business tripled that year. Like it was like boom, like a boom, crazy.
Wow.
And then I was able to hire one of my interns.
But it was a 3-year grind.
After 3 years, it was a 3rd year mark, like almost on the dot. It was like April.
Wow.
My 3rd year.
But did something happen? Like,
I don't know what happened.
Did like all the buildings start? Like, did you get a big account or did you like?
What? No, it just snowballed.
It snowballed.
And then it like, boom, like it just was snowballing. So it had been gaining traction, like bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more orders, which is why I needed more and more interns. But then finally I got to a point where I could pay someone. I couldn't necessarily pay myself too much, but I could pay someone to help me. And that was huge.
That's awesome.
So then I hired my first employee, and it was just her and I. And then I think we only had 2 interns. So then when I was able to pay, I took on less interns because it was just difficult. But I was so happy to teach them, and I was so grateful for them that I was like, my business wouldn't survive. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And I'm still in contact with most of them. Like
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
They all have their own businesses. They live in other states. They have babies. Like they're all grown. And then Jenny showed up. Jenny was my intern.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Jenny Kwok. She showed up. And so she did her internship with me. And then she did her second internship, because they do 2 internships. She did her second internship with me. And then she needed a job. She was going to go work at some, I don't remember, some boba place or some crap. And I was like, no. You're not doing that. You're going to come and work with me.
You didn't want to lose her?
No, I didn't want to lose her.
Okay.
She's
special.
Special. Yeah. So, I mean, this girl, I remember she had all of the cupcake flavors and the recipes and everything like down memorized like the following day. Like I was like, what even are you? Like it was just like what and so then she was only 19 at the time.
She's just this rock star that just came through your door.
Yeah. Oh. And so I was like, you're not going anywhere. Like you're staying with me. And she's like, okay, she was fine with it. She loved being there. She loved everything that we were doing. And we had so much fun. I mean, I wish we had cameras going when we were in there from the beginning, because it was pretty silly. Like it would have been some good TV. But
good documentary.
Yeah. It would have been some good. So then Jenny showed up, and then she did her internship. She was my employee. And then she was about to graduate from Johnson & Wales. And then, she did graduate from Johnson & Wales, and she's from New York. She's from Long Island.
Okay.
And my impression was that she was going to go back. And then she said, hey, do you want to partner? And I was like, yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
You said yes right away?
Yeah, immediately.
Why?
Because
she changed your world?
She changed my world. I wouldn't, if she left, I don't know if I would have been, like, I don't know. Wow. And at the time, like, that was when the business started booming, and I couldn't do it anymore on my own, even with employees. And I needed someone who was in it with me, because it's very different when it's your business as to when you're working for someone. Like you go home.
She's got to be like what, early 20s at this point?
Yeah. When she graduated, she was probably like 20, 21-ish maybe.
So you're about to get in business with a 21-year-old?
Yeah.
And you're like,
I didn't see her age. I didn't see her age.
You didn't see her age. Okay.
And I still don't.
Wow.
So then she bought in, with the help of her parents, she bought in 30% of the business. And then she became my partner.
Wow.
Right. They're like super easy. I signed over the shares over to her. We signed a business partnership contract.
It's like a legit deal. Yeah.
Super legit. And she's been with me ever since.
Wow.
And she's graduated. So she's Chef Jenny Kwok.
Oh, okay.
And she is incredible. Like,
she's got the white coat and everything, huh?
Mm-hmm. She doesn't wear it. But
right. Yeah.
She can wear it. She can.
She can if she wanted to.
If she wanted to. But yeah. So then she started with me. And then that was a while back ago, like 12, 13 years. Maybe more. God, it's been forever.
Was it hiring your first employee? Was that tough?
It was, because I really wanted to pay myself and like be able to
sure.
Because I've worked for 2-3 years without any money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. If you want to start a business, and I believe any business, you better get ready to work your butt off for no money.
Mm.
And that's, I think, where people who start their businesses just like
they think
give
as soon
up.
as
They think, there's going to be lines out the door. There's going to be all this money coming in.
Right.
But the expenses are so much that it's not. And if you start taking the money, your business will fail because you won't have enough capital to keep it running.
And bakeries are probably tough because there's probably not a high margin.
It's not a crazy margin. I mean, but I think maybe a little bit more than like a restaurant. Especially the way that I set it up. It's just there's no place to sit. You take your cakes and go.
I see.
And so I don't have to hire people to be serving or cleaning or, taking care of people sitting around. And
did you ever look at other people to model?
No, I mean, just like the guy on TV, but other than that, like
did you know?
Really.
Did you have this business savvy of like, all right?
No, all I knew was what my father taught me, and he was like, if somebody's buying something from you, you sell it, and it doesn't matter if you sell out, you just sell it. And he said, you always treat your customers right, treat them good, and treat your employees right.
Was that tough?
Treat your people,
customers, because sometimes customers aren't right.
Yeah, I know. For the most part, my people are so awesome. Like our Mermaids people, like our customers are incredible. But every now and then we have some people that are just, it's difficult.
You just can't satisfy them.
You just can't, and you're not going to. And we get it. I get that I'm not for everybody. But, a lot of times they run to Yelp or they run to the Google reviews, and it's like, why didn't you just come to me?
Yeah.
Like,
We'll work something out. We'll make it right.
Yeah. And I have people who come, my customers who are like, girl, I messed up. I dropped the ball. I need a cake for tomorrow. My husband's birthday, and I completely forgot, blah, blah. It's okay. We're going to figure it out. Like, when they are cool with me and nice to me and nice to my staff, and like,
you'll bend over backwards.
I will. I have driven to Granby, Colorado to Frisco because my customer was like, oh my God, this happened. What can, how can you, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. We'll figure something out. What can I do for you? Like, we'll figure it out. So I've done crazy things for them.
Do you think they take advantage though? Sometimes? Like if you're always there to bail them out.
I've never had a reoccurring.
Oh, interesting.
Person.
Where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of.
No. I've never had a reoccurring. It's been positive. Like if I've done something for them, they're like, we're in it with you for life. Like as long as you're open, you're our bakery.
Wow.
And they've ordered. And so I've had people who come in and I make their wedding cake. Then I make their baby shower cake. Then I'm making their first birthday, second birthday for the babies and more babies and like anniversaries. And so I'm in it with them.
Wow.
Through all their milestones, which is so cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I love it.
All those big life events.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Wow.
And we've been there it'll be 17 years in May.
In the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
And now, the owners, are they still there?
The owners of the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still there.
And they're like, they got to watch you build this thing. And they ever come down and they're like,
yeah, they do. And my sons, who were tiny at the time, like whenever I had them with me at the bakery, sometimes I had to have them with me. They would sit on the fondant buckets and just play with little pieces of fondant. But they were tiny. Like Jonas was 4 and Jack was 6 years old. And now Jack's working in the bakery.
Oh, and Jack's, that's right.
Jack's in the bakery and he's 22 and he's like, 6'5", 250 pounds. He's just in there doing it all. And he's my delivery guy, my baker, and
he's your utility knife.
Everything. Yeah. He's my Swiss Army knife. Yeah. He's my calmer downer when I'm crazy.
You still get crazy?
I get crazy.
Why? You've been through 17 years of this stuff.
Sometimes I just lose it and I lose my mind. But then, and now Jonas just started just last month.
Okay.
He started.
You got 2 of them in there now.
He's part-time in there and Jack's full-time. And I have Jonas's friend, Evan, who he helps me on the days that Jonas isn't there. So they alternate days. So I always have somebody in there with me. And then Jenny had Henry, our little baby Henry. Oh, wow. And such a blessing. And we had to figure out, and that's the thing about it, is like, it just feels like a family. Like Jenny she's family to me. And so when she needed to figure out a way to be with Henry, and not have to pay this insane amount for daycare or a nanny.
Right.
So we figured out a way that, her husband could work and then have the baby, and Jenny comes in when he gets home and she comes in and frosts everything. And then we bake everything all day and she comes in and frosts everything. We have all the frosting, everything ready we have a method now.
Wow.
And so we figured it out so that, and maybe one day when Henry goes to school or she doesn't need, she'll be back in, we'll be back in, but we've always been able to bend, like during COVID.
Oh, right.
We really had to pivot. It was crazy. Because I didn't know. I thought I was going to have to lose my business. And then it turned out I was essential. I was essential business.
Hey, I was essential too.
Yeah.
I wasn't essential for the first month, but then they figured it out.
That you were essential.
Yeah, I was essential.
And we need Ruben.
Yeah.
He's essential to our lives.
People need houses, I think.
I think they need a place to live. Yeah. They needed cake, so I'm in.
How did that work?
I don't know. I remember calling my friend Amanda, and she was working in she's a city councilwoman, and I was like, hey, am I done? Like, what's happening? And she's like, no, you're one of the essential workers. You can stay open. And I was like, oh my God. But then, what does that mean?
Like, you're the only essential person. So everybody's going to you.
Yeah. So now, but people were afraid to come. You're forgetting how scared people were.
Yeah, you're right. That time. Yeah.
So we had to do some crazy things. So we put in like this little intercom so that we can talk to our customers on the other side. Uh-huh.
Oh,
and because they were afraid to come into the bakery, and we wanted them to feel comfortable. So we're like
the prisons where you pick up the phone and you're like, hey.
That's exactly how it was. And I found it on Amazon and I was like, hello, can I help you? And the doors were shut and we were just in there. And then they would call us on the phone, and they were out in the car, and they would pay us with a credit card, and we would run their order and put it on the hood of their car. And would run away, and they would bring it in.
Wild. Well, we had to do that too for real estate. We had to close. We could open our window like this much, and we could slide papers through. Yeah, that was the thing. They wouldn't let us go to the title companies. We're like, what is this?
It was crazy. It was so crazy. Like, we think back on it, I'm like, oh my God. And like, we took a lot of delivery. So everything started changing to delivery.
Oh, you hadn't done delivery yet.
We were doing deliveries,
okay.
But not to this level.
Okay.
So then, we had a situation where like my mom, my siblings couldn't have her in the house, but then we didn't want her to be alone. So she came to stay with us. And so then I couldn't be exposed to people because I didn't want my mom to get sick. Like, I was terrified of this.
Yeah.
She has everything that they said you couldn't have or you'll die of COVID.
Right.
Like, she had she didn't have diabetes. She has like the blood pressure and the whole, everything.
High risk. She's high risk.
Super high risk.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, all right. So we figured it out. Like, Jenny and I figured it out where her and her brother Jason and Lindsay were working at the time. So they were in there during the day and doing the no contact stuff. And then I would show up, they would load my car. I would take all the deliveries and just porch drop because no interaction. Yeah, or they would come and pick it up off of the hood of my car.
Okay.
If I couldn't, they would come out, grab them, and I was like, and so it was crazy. And then I would come in at nighttime and frost whatever they didn't have, or I'd do fondant work or whatever I could do to get stuff done for the next day.
Wild.
I would come in and do it, and Robs would come in there with me, and he'd draw, and I would finish whatever I needed to finish, and then we did that for about a year almost, and then slowly we transitioned back to trying to get into normal, and
so
we did a lot of stuff. Like we made raw cookie dough, and it was frozen cookie dough balls that people could bake at home because they were doing that whole baking at home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then
so you made a major pivot.
Yeah,
You're
we did a
what
bunch
do people want?
Yeah,
we're just going to give it to them.
We're just going to make it. Who cares? This is like crazy as it is. So let's just be crazy.
Right. I don't know what I'm doing anyway, so whatever.
We made toilet paper cakes.
Oh my gosh. That's because of the shortage and everything.
We raffled off little toilet paper cakes and little cakes that say 6 feet back, bitch, stuff like that. Oh, am I not allowed to cuss? But it would say silly little things 6 feet back, and we'd raffle them off on our Instagram, and I don't know. We just did fun stuff because we were working with a skeleton crew and we were barely getting by, and it was screw it. Let's just have some fun with it because everything sucks right now anyway.
Yeah.
And
you're not laughing, you're probably going to cry kind of.
Yeah. And it was pretty rough, but then we made it to the other side of COVID, and a lot of businesses didn't.
You're right. Yeah. So do you look back at this and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do.
I did something good.
Yeah, I do. And I did very well.
Yeah. In a very difficult space, the baking industry. I mean, like you said, you bought the equipment from somebody that failed. I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure it's pretty high. There's a high failure rate.
I've experienced I don't even keep track anymore, but before I used to be a new bakery opened, this and that. We would competition, but it never affected me in any way. So we just stayed in our little box and just kept going.
An abundance mindset? There's always enough for everybody?
Yeah, there's enough, and then I would, they would open and then they would close. And then more would open and then they would close. And
did that make you feel better?
I knew why.
Oh, you did?
I knew why they would open and close because it's crazy hard and you're not making any money. And because I had been there. And I know that within the first 2-3 years, if you
make it past 3 years, I got mad respect for you.
Mad respect.
Because
Because Ruben, I don't know. If I would have been in a bakery before I opened my bakery, I might not have opened my bakery.
3 back surgeries in, you're I can't do my own thing.
Yeah. I can't. But man, I'm super strong, I can lift those bags of 50-pound flour, and now, I don't so much anymore because my boys are in there now, so I've gotten lazy.
Yeah.
But it was just I don't know. And like I said, I would make these cakes. I've never made those cakes before. I've never made anything like that before. And back to the spiritual thing for me, it was I was making them and I didn't know. I would take these orders. I didn't know how I was going to make them, but I was like, sure, yeah, I can make that for you. And I had all the faith in the world that I could. And then I'd make them. And I don't remember making them. I really don't remember too much of how I went about making them. And sometimes I'd see pictures of them. I'm like, and I would ask Jenny, do you remember how I did this? Because somebody wants it. Somebody wants another one. And I don't remember how I did this. So it was just
So you got it. You had to pay attention and be aware, hey, maybe I should start documenting some of this stuff.
I don't know.
Or is it just a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
I would just do it. I would just see the shapes in it and figure it out and do it.
So the only consistency from your customers is probably, it just tastes good.
Yeah, it just tastes good. And that's another thing. And I had one employee, no, he wasn't an employee, he was a customer. And he passed away since. but he actually helped me out in the beginning. His name was Steve Cruz. And he was very well known in the community around Denver back in the day. And he became one of my first customers. And then he was also like a marketing branding type of guy. And he said, I'm going to tell you that you better be ready to be busy. Like, be ready to be busy. Don't. He said, don't just do things to maybe get by.
Oh.
Like, prepare yourself to be as busy as you could possibly be. And that was amazing advice.
That's a mindset. Mm-hmm. That's a mindset thing.
Yeah. And then, he Steve was, I don't know, he was really, really cool. And he would just give me like little tidbits of little business
things.
Drop some little bits of knowledge here and there. And so that's what I did. I just prepared myself to be busy. Like, we would buy bigger bulk of things instead of like a little bag of cocoa. It's like, let's get the 50-pounder. And he was right. Like, because it did started to snowball. And
wow. Mm-hmm. So all these people in and out of your life, in and out of the business, do you ever just like tell them how much they meant to you?
I tried to. It's important for me. Mm-hmm. And I've had it told to me as well. Like, I've had some of my interns who, like, out of nowhere will write me this letter and everything that I did for them unknowingly. Like, I was just
trying to survive.
I was just trying to survive, seriously. And I was happy you were with me, and I appreciated every minute that I got from you, because, I wasn't able to pay them.
Right.
And so all I could do was like talk to them whenever they needed me, give them whatever wisdom I could, teach them whatever I possibly could from what I had learned. And they took it with them, and I didn't even intend on that, And so it's really cool when they call me and they're like, hey, you know what? You inspired me to do this. I'm this person because of you showed me to do this. And it's so cool.
Super cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I have a lot of gratitude, and I do live with a lot of gratitude in my life. And I know everything that I have, and I'm super blessed. And so I'm always with that.
Did you ever make a cake for somebody like super famous, or what was like what's maybe your trophy?
We made cakes. Well, since we're downtown, like, a lot of famous people come through.
Oh,
so, okay. We made, like,
any athletes or?
That's my.
Oh, you're fine.
That's my ringtone. It's a cat, and it's hilarious, and it cracks me up.
It's like, do you step on a tail or something?
I know. It cracks me up so much every time that's why I have it. It makes my day every day. Every time it rings. I've made cakes for basketball players, a lot of baby showers for like all the baseball Rockies, and like a lot of people that come through, famous people. I made some for some famous chefs like that have birthdays that are here, like Alton Brown. I remember he had a birthday party, and it was his birthday. He was in town, and the hotel called me, and I made a cake for him. So I was super excited. But I'll tell you what, Keanu Reeves is my husband. I'll tell you that. And we always have this joke that I'm like, I've been cheating on my husband for 30 years with Robert, and Keanu Reeves is my husband. So anyway, he was here in town. He was going to be here in town with his band, Dogstar. Oh. And our friend Mike Trujillo of the Trujillo Brothers, Trujillo and Company. Mm-hmm. They have a band, and they're a great.
Okay.
They're a great band, and we love supporting them. They're one of our favorite. And he said, hey, bring me some cupcakes, and I'll see if I can get them to Keanu. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, oh my God, no, I'm freaking out. And
so are you making these personally, or you're like, I got to do it.
Hands off, everybody.
Hands off. Get out of the way.
Give me a minute. These are every energy, all the is going into these. And I made them for them. And like, I wasn't able to go like back there, obviously. And like me, and Mike was like, I was like, did you meet him? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know. I'm freaking out. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like
what would you do? You'd probably drop the cupcakes.
I'd say some dumb thing.
I know, right?
Like and then I'd regret it. And then the mystery of it all would be gone for me. And, I don't know. And so, but Mike took the cupcakes to them, and he got pictures of them eating them.
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
They were like, they really enjoyed them. And I wrote a little thank you card to the band, and, you know,
that's sweet.
And then we got to go to the show. Okay. And Mike went and got a spot for me, and I was literally from here to here to Keanu Reeves playing the bass from me to you.
That's cool.
For all night long. And so that was like the most incredible. That was my 25th wedding anniversary from my husband.
Oh, nice.
Keanu Reeves.
Nice job. Nice job. Man.
Oh man, but that was really exciting for me. That was probably cool. The top one.
Wow. Do you have any regrets?
I don't know. I mean, I sometimes I think about what if I didn't start the bakery, like what would I have done? Or which way would I have gone?
Yeah.
Or what?
Because it's such a big part of your life.
Yeah. It's all like I know. And so I'm, now I just turned 50, and I'm like, what would I do? Like if I retired, or if I wanted to stop doing this, like what would I do? Mm-hmm. Because, like I turned 50 and now it's like, my hand is giving up. I've got this crazy carpal tunnel, and they scanned it and they're like, ooh, and my feet and my knees and my shoulder, and I'm getting injections everywhere now, where I'm like, I can't keep doing that. Like, I don't know how long I can keep doing it.
Right.
And, I don't know, I'll just keep doing it until I can't do it anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I always said, like, I'll just keep making cakes and cupcakes until people don't want them anymore. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just keep going. Do you
feel like you're obligated to stay in it for anybody?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like now that my kids are in there, and then, I want to make sure that Jenny's okay. So like, I'll keep going for them too. It's not as easy as just me being like, I don't want to do it anymore. Bye. I don't care. I would never. So I have, there's a lot at stake. And plus, what else would I do? And so I think about things like, what would I do? I don't know if I would have still followed my fashion design thing, or maybe done some jewelry design, or who knows? Yeah. And, if I don't know, if I wouldn't have watched the Ace of Cakes on TV and looked at his website, start watching TV again or something. And looked at his website and saw that he was charging $500 for a cake, I don't know, maybe I'd be, who knows?
Have you thought about opening another location? I mean, would that?
Oh, we did. Yeah. We thought about it, but the price of, I don't know if I'd want to rent again. I'd probably want to find a location. Mm-hmm. And we talked about like maybe finding like a ghost type kitchen and just having it as a main hub, and then everything else as a satellite, and we just deliver. We thought about a bunch of different ideas, but ultimately it's like, do I want to be that? Like, do I want to have that much more stress? Like this little box that I'm in with this little bakery. Yeah. I take it home every day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't end. And, we're getting so much out of this tiny box, which is incredible. People come into the bakery and they're like, oh my God, like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. We're running out of space. And we do run out of space. Yeah. We've had to set tables out up in the hall, and we put stuff out there. Yeah. And yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's rough. And then, we also supply some of the stores for Whole Foods. And so we have to have certain refrigeration and certain stuff for those guys. And so I would love to have a bigger space. It would be incredible, but I mean, it's fine. It's working fine for what it is now. And maybe in the future, if my boys want to take it over, or if they want to do something different, then I would help them. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I tell them, like, Jack is going to school for business, and Jonas, he's like, I want to be a tattoo artist. And then now he's saying he wants to work in the trades. And then eventually Jack's like, I want to have my own business. And I'm like, I'll go and be your secretary. Like, I'll run your stuff. I'll help you. And I'll be perfectly happy doing that. Yeah. So, wow. I don't know. I just feel like this path was carved out for me. And this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I just felt like I said, like when I was on that train, and I still am. Yeah. I just feel like I feel that way because this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
And nothing's really told you to get off the train.
Only my body and these injections that I have to keep getting. Yeah. Like, that's the only thing that's like for me, like I can't do it anymore, but now I have my sons. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to lift things anymore. I don't have to work hard anymore. And Jenny is 33 years old.
Yeah.
She's strong
she's
as
not
hell.
21,
like she's not
22 anymore.
She can run the show. Like,
wow.
I still don't have that. Like, it's like everything is still aligning for where and I'm here where I need to be, and things are aligned so that I can be in this space, in this spot right now,
What's your most favorite thing about the bakery?
I think in the past, my most favorite thing is that it allowed me to be with my boys whenever they were at, like, I dropped them off at school and I closed at 3. So I made my hours.
School hours.
Oh. And so then I was able to at the point where I was able to hire people to be there all summer. Like Jenny would be in there all summer with the interns or whoever I hired so that I could be with my boys all summer. Mm. And then every year we closed for 2 weeks during Christmas and New Year. So that was the Christmas break. So my boys always had their mom.
Right.
And I think that is what I'm most grateful to the bakery and my business for. And to Jenny.
Yeah.
That I could be with my family and be with my boys so they never had a time that they remember that they didn't have their mom.
Yeah.
And so I'm closed on the weekends. I'm not open Saturday or Sunday. People just come and pick up half day on Saturday.
Oh,
but
okay.
I usually would have like an employee, or my son is there now. I don't know. But I was never there. I was always with my boys.
Wow.
So that was incredible for me.
Did Rob ever think that he tried to talk you out of it, or like,
no,
he was totally supportive. Mm-hmm. Like, let's just do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had bought the kitchen already. So he was like, okay.
We got to make this work.
I know. I was like, don't worry. Don't worry. He was like, okay, like, alrighty. But I was like, don't freak out. It's going to work. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Does he have any like aspirations? Maybe we should get him on the podcast. I don't know. But any aspirations to do something crazy like that? And like, you feel like you would reciprocate that report?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, I know that he has, because, he's a software engineer and he does all this full stack developing, like, programming stuff. But in his heart, he's a comic book artist.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And his dream is to have this graphic novel that he's been talking about for years, this story that he just wants to be able to animate or to draw out, to somehow bring to life. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be incredible if somebody like Robert Rodriguez would like read it and bring it to life. Like that would be his dream. And I would drop everything to help him do that.
Wow.
But he's always doing other stuff though. He's Meow Wolf artist. He's he's the fight, doing the fight posium.
Stuff.
The fight posium. And so the artwork for that and all the boxers and Jake Paul calling him on the phone and stuff like that. Like,
dropping here.
He does. He has famous people that call him and he does artwork for. But so that's why I'm like, all of this stuff that's built up for you now, what do you want to do? Mm. Like, let's just do it. But then, he's like, oh, the bills, pay the bill. I'm like, we've done it. Like, we'll figure it out. How hard can it be?
That should be the name of the book you write.
Exactly.
How hard can it be? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You ever thought about writing a book?
I have. And a lot of people, when I tell them like all the stories of my family and
just see the chapters,
how my father got here and like my great aunt and like all these crazy stories that I have in my life. Like, you really should write a book. And I'm really good at lighting a match under people's butt to do stuff. Like, that's one thing I'm really good at. Like, they're like, oh, I've always wanted, like, you know what? If we did this, 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 and this, and this, we could line that up and that can happen. Like, it's not that hard. And
that would be something like like some type of visionary coach,
Yeah.
And support. And
just to help them see it. Like, because, they think about it and they have this idea, but it's like, you know what? It's not that hard. We can just line up this.
Yeah.
And just go through it. Like like you hear about that. I don't know if you've ever heard where they say like it's like 5 seconds to get through that. You just need 5 seconds to get through the fear.
5 seconds of willpower.
Like to punch through that fear, right. And it's going to be fine. It's fine. Yeah. And it really is, Ruben. Like as long as everybody's healthy, everything's fine. What else matters? Yeah. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Man, I think that might be your next calling, like supporting other entrepreneurs that are just either on the fence or just can't get started or just don't have that support and like.
Because it's scary. It's scary as hell. When I signed my lease, I remember laying in my bed with my 6-year-old baby, crying my eyes out because I was going to sign this long lease and I would never see him again. Like that's how I felt.
You're gonna have to give them up for a deposit or what?
No, I just thought I would never see them again because I'd be working so much. And it was a little bit true, like in the beginning. But you know, they had their dad and everything, because it's scary. And then I showed up with my babies to the leasing office the next day, to the lawyers. I set up their little DVD like I did when I set up this whole thing, because I did it all with them.
Wow.
And so I went and signed my lease and we got started.
So do you think really, truly anybody can do this, or are you just like built this way?
I don't know. I think I'm built this way.
Yeah. You have a certain DNA that is just in you.
I think entrepreneurs are different animals. Yeah, I think. And like, it doesn't stop like in here, like in my brain. It's always firing off. And like with ideas and like things to do and like ways to figure it out. And it's always going and never stopping. And you have to be okay with like the hard work. And I don't know.
Is that the biggest thing? Like people aren't willing to work hard?
I don't know if they're willing to work hard. And I think it's mostly like maybe their expectations just aren't met, or, they don't. Because a lot of people go by the book and they don't see the numbers that are supposed to be projected and this and that. And they're like, we're out. Mm. But you don't know what's going to happen the following year. You don't know. Like if I would have given up my second year, because there was no money coming in, like I'm done.
That would have been totally understandable.
And reasonable.
Yeah, right.
But my business tripled in the third year.
You just never know how close you are.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. And you just have to like,
figure it out
and fight through it and see. Mm. And okay, yeah, if you start really, if you really have to stop the bleeding, like I get that. Like, if you're oozing money and, it's not going anywhere, then you have to throw in the towel at some point. But I don't know.
With all this success, have you ever failed at anything?
No, I just, maybe I have.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
Well, maybe because you didn't quit, you didn't fail.
Yeah. Like
you only fail if you quit, right?
Yeah, I guess if you quit and you just look at it as failure.
Yeah. You just never tapped
failure
out.
If you look at it as failure. Yeah. But maybe I have.
It doesn't come to me. It. Maybe we should ask Rob if you failed at anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that, I'm sure I did at certain things maybe, but.
No casualties along the way, relationships, anything like that?
Not in the bit, like as far as like the business goes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm sure there was some employees that were burned out from working so hard.
Yeah.
But.
Because are you like a pusher? Like you just push. We got to get it done.
I will do I never will ask my employees to do anything I wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. So, we everybody knows in there that they're a team. Things need to get done. It doesn't matter who does them. They just need to get done. And so it's not Jack's dishes and Jonas's floor or whatever, it's like, whoever, if you're done, you're going to help this person. You're going to help this person get started rinsing that, like everything. And I'll go in there and I'll rinse dishes or whatever needs to get done. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really a pusher like that. And, if people come and talk to me about things, I'm always really open to like figuring it out. Mm-hmm.
Would they say that you're a good leader?
Them?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you communicate, are you you're empathetic to their situation, or do you feel like they walked over, like would take advantage, or you just had an understanding of like a mutual respect?
I think we did. For the most part, everybody, we've always had a mutual respect, and I'm sure I've probably had interns or people who've been in my bakery who have taken advantage, but I don't have time to deal. I don't like. You know what I mean?
It's
If you're going to be like that kind of a person, then that's on you and that's your karma that you're going to deal with.
Yeah.
But like my choices that I've made in my life have gotten me to where I am, and the way I've treated people in my life and have gotten me to where I am and to where I feel so eternally grateful for my everything that surrounds me. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
That's how you want to be. Like you be that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it gets you.
Well, besides the ailments, is there anything that keeps you up at night now?
I do worry. Like I don't want Robert working hard anymore. Like I don't want us to work hard anymore. Like we can work, but I just don't want to. We're done grinding. Like that keeps me up at night. Like
trying to figure that out.
Trying to figure out how we can just skate by until we retire from now on, you know, and not be so stressed out anymore, and not, because you know how it is, like it comes with age.
Sure.
Where, you know,
well, you see life differently.
It's very different.
I only have so many more. It becomes a math problem is the way I'm looking at it. I have only so many breaths. I have so many days. I only have so many hours. I only have so many times where I get to wake up with my wife. So then you look at it that way and you're like, there's a lot of things that don't matter.
Right.
So what's the next life cycle look like for you? What's the next 10 years? Or
I don't know. Like, I'm always spouting, like, it's this crazy. Spouting ideas. Like
like your family ever like time out. It's like I can't take this anymore.
He's like, you know what? Just do it. I don't want to hear it. Just do it. If you're gonna do it, I know how you are. Just talking about it. Just do it. Do it if you want to do it. Like I hear that so much, and I'm like, you know, it would be awesome. What if I did this? And I'm like, what if I, like, just the other day I was like, what if I opened a little consignment shop, but only for really high end things like anthropology? That's where I shop, and like only the things that I like, and everybody else would like. And he's like, do it. Like, do whatever you want. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, you've created this environment of like, you literally could do anything.
You really can.
Yeah.
As long as you market it right. Like, you know, I remember my marketing teacher in school, he would say that you can wrap up a little piece of crap in a beautiful box and people would buy it.
Like a Tiffany's box and it's still it's all about the packaging.
Yeah, it's all about the marketing and the branding and the experience that people have.
Well, we didn't even talk about that. Like, you didn't even talk about the marketing of the bakery.
It was all pretty word of mouth, self-sustaining. I mean, we haven't done very much advertising really ever. It's all been organic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it started with burritos.
Yeah.
Like,
those burrito guys, they were telling their friends they'd go get some more burritos, and then they saw the cupcakes, and they were like, this girl sells cupcakes, and they're really good. And then they told their friend, I don't know.
Yeah, it just took off.
It just took off.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, we did a little bit of advertising in the past, like with like Google and, you know, where you can whatever sponsor. But a lot of times it's like, you know, Robert set up my website and my SEO. And so people Google bakery in Denver, and there I am. And he figured out how to do that early on. And so
he was good at that.
He's still good at that. Like that's what he.
Well, what would you? Okay, so let's say you didn't have this 17 years of success, and you were to start a bakery tomorrow. What would you do different or instead of?
I think that, you know, I would probably set up the bakery from the beginning with everything that I need instead of adding it as I go. But I mean, at the time it was out of necessity. Like I couldn't afford to.
So would you raise money first?
Maybe. Yeah. I would have more money because I did max out a credit card in the beginning. And I don't know, like, I think I would make sure that
social media?
Well, yeah, because social media wasn't there back then.
A lot of the technology is.
Yeah. So I think, I would make sure that social media was my number one gun, because I would focus on that more. And that really is a full-time job. Like, you really need to hire somebody for that. Like,
we're learning that.
Oh my God. We tried to keep up with it, and it's so hard. And then people are like, you haven't posted your flavors and you haven't done this. We haven't done. And I'm like, God, I'm in here like trying to run everything. I'm doing everything. And everybody in the bakery is doing everything. They're all answering the phones.
We're just trying to do orders here.
We're just trying to take it out. Yeah. Just trying to get the orders that are coming in done.
Right.
And, and then I have to get home and answer a bunch of emails and voicemails and post the flavors and post pictures. And I think that if I could, I would hire somebody to do a lot of like those kind of tasks, so that I could focus on just, the bakery and growing and getting the customers in, maybe. But it's just
hard. Videos? Would you do like people watching you mix cakes and decorate cakes?
If I started right now, I would start on a TikTok account, and I would do Instagram reels. I would do a lot of reels, and Facebook and the videos, like that's huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
I would build a huge, like, all my customers. I would make sure and build my database and be able to like constantly contacting through them. That's what I would have to do now. Because when I first started, the 16th Street Mall was all I needed.
Right. You had enough. Location, right?
Right. So that, like, people were coming in. They saw my sign. They were always coming in. They were driving down Champa. The Social Security office opened right across the street from us. So there was like 6 months after I opened. So people were always like seeing my big old neon sign that I made. And then I made these giant banners. I don't know if you've seen the bakery, but there's these giant banners so everybody can see them driving and from the mall. And I don't know. So that was as far as I could go back then.
Maybe that's your retirement plan, is let's just build the TikTok channel.
Yeah.
And just let it go viral and get millions of followers. And
it's, and I thought about that, like, I could just be sitting there frosting cakes and talking to people on TikTok, and they could be teaching them this easy thing that is easy for me, but maybe not for them. And maybe there's some value in what I can show people and what I've learned out of necessity, and they don't know it. Because I have found that I go through like these groups on Facebook that are like bakery entrepreneurs, or like cake decorating groups and this and that. And these girls are trying to start their own businesses, and they say these things, and I'm like, no. That's not what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And they're like, oh my God, that's brilliant. I'm like, yes, this is what you're going to do.
You need to scale that.
So maybe,
because that's the knowledge, and that's what people seek, and they just eat that stuff up.
Yeah.
And they need it.
It's like they need it.
Like they may not survive.
Yeah. Like learn from all my tears that I sat and cried in that bakery at 9 o'clock at night and at 5 a.m. in the morning. So you can learn from what from that, and not have to repeat my mistakes.
And that doesn't require you lifting 50-pound bags.
Right. So, I mean, that would be something. And I have thought of it.
Yeah.
Thought of doing that.
I think you'd be good at it. Well, you're going to be good at anything you do. I mean, that's the thing. It's like just whatever is fulfilling now. And, you have that luxury of picking and choosing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is nice. But then it's like, what do I want to trade my time for? Like, I want to make sure that it's kind of hard to choose, but like, it's weird. Like in my older age, I have this like analysis paralysis that it makes me like second guess everything. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening in my brain? That's like, what? Because before I was like,
we'll figure it out. Like you said,
let's go. Yeah. We'll figure it out. And I know that would happen now again. I know it, but I'm like,
do you have a fear of being on camera? I mean, we're on camera now, but I mean,
no, I don't have a fear of being on camera.
Fear of talking in front of millions, or
no? I mean, the only thing that I would worry about talking in front of a million people is if I said some wrong thing. And,
yeah.
And then they'll cancel you over it because that's what happens these days.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't mean that.
Right.
That's not what I meant, you guys.
Would that ever come up in like baking stuff?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe a one-off, like, I was thinking about this thing.
Yeah. It could be like, and it could be anything.
I know.
Like, say one wrong word and it's over.
Well, the good thing about it is you're in charge of the editing.
Yeah, that's true.
So you could just edit it out. Yeah. No, we don't need that today.
We don't need that today up in here. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out, Ruben.
Well, I look forward to watching and seeing what you're doing because I'm always keeping tabs. I mean, we got to do our like monthly breakfast now.
I know.
It's like, I know. Just to stay on top of what you're doing. So it's so super cool to watch. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Unless you have it. Okay.
No, I'm good.